Hi guys, I'm going to be doing a video about procrastination and motivation. Now I did do a recording when I was driving to work, but what happened was that the audio quality wasn't as great as I wanted it to be. I'll probably try to set up, if I do record in my car next time, I'll set up a lapel microphone in my suit or jumper or whatever I'm wearing on that day, and test out that as well. And I'll probably upload videos from my car because it saves time. It takes around 40 minutes or so for me to drive from home to work, so I think it will be great use of time if I just record then and then just edit later, instead of me trying to find the time in the day just to record. Anyways, about going back to the topic about procrastination and motivation. Now, there's two things. I talked about two things when I was recording that video. I said that to do a task, to complete a task, there is two main factors that are needed for that task to be completed, right? So you need motivation and you need skills to do that task, right? I also thought of a third thing that you also need with those other two aspects. You need not just motivation and skills, but you need the ability to do that specific task. The reason why I say that, and skills and ability is different, right? So skills means that you have the practical knowledge on how to undertake a task, right? That's skills. Ability is if you have nothing impeding yourself from doing that said task, right? So say, for instance, you might have the skill to say play the guitar, right? But then if you've broken the bones in your hands because you're playing say basketball, and you sprained your hands, or you broke the bones in your hands, you're not going to be able to play the guitar because your hands are injured. So you still have the skills to play guitar, but you're impeded in terms of your ability to undertake the task. So there's three things. So you need to not be impeded, you need to have the ability to actually do the task, you have to have the skills to do the task, and you have to have the motivation to do the task. So that's the three things, right? Now, how do you get motivation, right? So everything starts off with motivation. There's always a motive behind something, even if it's a negative reinforcement, then that's still a type of motivation. If it's a positive reinforcement, that is a positive type of motivation. So now, before you get motivation, something, in terms of the positive side, something needs to inspire you. So inspiration comes before motivation, so once you get inspired to do something, then you'll get motivated to do that thing, right? And essentially why it's good to have a good mindset and an optimistic mindset, because the optimistic mindset will give you the with inspiration, and the positive mindset will motivate you to do things. So look at it this way. First, a thought. You have a thought, right? And you focus on that thought, and you keep focusing on that thought, and that thought becomes a motive, right? So, and that motive, when put into practice, becomes an action, right? That action, that if you constantly keep doing that specific action, becomes a behavior, and that behavior becomes a part of your persona, and that aspect of your persona becomes like builds up to who your character is, right? So it all starts with that thought, right? So the thing with inspiration is it links up with what you're thinking, because whatever you're inspired with influences whatever you're thinking about, right? Take for instance, right, when we were born, we know nothing of the world. We know absolutely nothing, right? So we have to learn from the outside first, and we have to take from our outer environment. We have to absorb the things coming from our environment before we can synthesize whatever we've taken from the environment and produce something of value to put it back outside to the environment to give back. Like there's a saying, you can't give unless you have something to give, right? So you have to take first before you can give, right? But then the more you give, the more you receive, right? So going back to the topic, so you need to get motivation. You need something from the outside world to inspire you to get motivated, and then you will do that thing, right? But even if you're motivated, you may not have the skills, but that's okay, because if you don't have the skills, like skills are learnt, it's the process of gaining those skills. So eventually you might not be able to do a certain task because you have no skills, but you have a lot of motivation, and then that motivation will drive you to learn how to gain those skills to be able to do the tasks, right? But there is a debate where, like, stick to your strengths. You should only stick to what you're good at. But how do you know what you're good at if you don't, if you don't try things, right? You're never going to know what you are good at. So you kind of have to figure that out, right? You kind of have to explore different areas of what are your tendencies. Like, figure out what your tendencies are. Like, are you an artist? Are you a mathematician? Are you a jack of all trades? Like, there's a stigma on being a jack of all trades and a master of nothing, right? But I think in today's society, like, you have to be a jack of all trades, because there's so many technologies that are advancing, and there's so many things that are happening that you have to be able to learn on your toes, and you have to be able to adapt to different situations. And basically that is what a jack of all trades is, right? Some areas you may be good at, and some areas you may not. But then if you have a multifaceted skill set, then then it's kind of like having multiple safety nets. Like, if one doesn't work out, you can go on to a next area, right? That's not to say that you shouldn't specialize in one specific area. Like, there's a concept called being a specialist generalist, or a generalist specialist. So a generalist specialist is you're coming from the background that you know many things, and then eventually you pick one area and you specialize in it. Or you can be on the other side and you're a specialist. You came from one specific background, and then you decided to verge out, and you decided to verge out and then just expand your horizon and learn different areas. But the thing is, you'll probably have your career in terms of your specialty, but then since you're able to do many other things, it gives you a good mix to your skill set. Anyways, that's just me diverging, like, from different ideas to different ideas. But so first it's motivation, and then it's skills. Then you learn the skills, then you get really good at doing the actual specific task. And then the thing is, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It becomes a cycle, right? Like, because you need inspiration, right, to become motivated to actually do something, right? Then when you actually complete a task, you actually feel good inside because you've completed that that task, right? And it makes you feel good inside because you accomplished something. Now that accomplishment goes back and inspires you even more to achieve greater things, and it's going to be an upward cycle from there, right? Now that's the positive side, right? That's it. That's also the thing as well, as you have to start from the mindset, and at the very beginning it's really hard to get started, right? Because it's like a snowball effect. When you first make a snowball, it's really small, but then when you roll it down a mountainside with a lot of snow, eventually there's going to be a point where it has enough momentum that it's going to continue rolling and getting bigger. It's going to continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, right? And you don't have to apply any more force to it, right? Now, in terms of the negative side, right, that can motivate a person to do a task, because instead of being pulled to do something because you're inspired, and inspiration pulls you to do something, your negative reinforcement, like being disciplined or being punished, is something that's pushing you to. It's like a dog trying to chase after you, and you're trying to run for your life because you don't want to you don't want to die, or you don't want to get injured, right? So that's negative reinforcement. The reason why negative reinforcement isn't as effective as positive reinforcement is because it's missing one thing. So you have motivation, right? And you can gain the skills from negative reinforcement, but it's missing one thing. It's missing inspiration, right? So when you don't have inspiration, right, you'll always have to have that aspect, that negative aspect, to keep pushing you to do what you want to do, right? Or what has been asked of you, and what you need to do, right? But then if you take away that aspect away, that driving force, that negative driving force away, then you're not going to be motivated to do that specific task. Now, the difference between that and positive reinforcement is that positive reinforcement, after you create positive reinforcement, it closes that cycle, it closes that loop with inspiration, because positive reinforcement creates more inspiration, and then it adds to the motivation. Therefore, when, like, say, someone from the outside world, right, from your external environment, can inspire you to start something, right, and for a certain time they can inspire you and they can motivate you to do something, until you get to a point where you get into the habits of doing something, and until you get to a point where you're motivated enough to inspire yourself because of the achievements that you've achieved, and you've inspired yourself so much because you believe that you can actually do it, and it creates a cycle. Now, the negative reinforcement is, it doesn't have that aspect of inspiration. So that's why once you take away that negative external source, you stop doing whatever you've been doing. And that's why the negative source may get initial results at the start, and it may be quick to get initial results, because no one likes pain, and everyone will try to get away from pain, right? So it'll give you initial results, but then it will stagnate because, like I said, it's missing that specific aspect that creates that self-sustaining cycle, right? You need the self-sustaining cycle